From the restaurant, whose owner ended up making custom rhinestone t-shirts after a failed second chance, to another one that became a festival food truck seller after his ego outlived the restaurant, here's what happened to the worst restaurants Gordon Ramsay visited, starting with Blackberries, which was a small soul food restaurant in Plainfield, New Jersey, owned by Shelley Withers, and sponsored by her mom, Mary, who invested her entire retirement savings into the business. But because of Shelley's bad attitude,
Shelley is a super control freak to the 110th power.
I need you to knock these down. Just get it out. Let me see that plate.
She's helping the restaurant to fail even more.
And terrible food.
Food is suffering, the customers are suffering, and the restaurant is suffering.
The macaroni actually it's like part of it.
The business lost both customers and money, which meant that they urgently needed help to survive.
Things are bad. I'm $200,000 in debt. I'm barely holding on here. I believe in the power of prayer. I think Chef Ramsay is the answer to her prayers.
And that kind of help can only come from Gordon Ramsay, who observed their terrible food faults immediately, which was so bad it made him throw up. But if the bad food wasn't enough, Ramsay also found a dead rat at the restaurant's entrance, something no restaurant could be excused for. He got so upset that it led him to confront the staff, and instead of taking accountability, Shelley accused him of pulling it up just for the sake of the show.
All of you, this is very, very important. I walked in the front door, a mouse.
The mouse that you planted, I know. They told me, but it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
It's a show.
To make things worse, Shelley stayed arrogant during the whole episode and even refused to take part in the relaunch night.
So when it's sitting on the side drying out, just leave it there?
What are you talking about? I don't know.
I don't want to hear it.
Shelley!
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
However, the relaunch went well, despite her persistent negative attitude.
Shelley? Shelley, there's no point in making yourself look any more stupid. Shelley, just 2 seconds.
But because of the continued kitchen fights and missed service even after the show, Blackberries still had a low 2.7 rating on Yelp, as many reviews showed that Shelley's attitude had not really changed. To prove it, a customer said, "This place is a horror show. All the yelling and screaming put a knot in our stomach, and from there, the food itself made things worse." With all these complaints and a poor management system, Blackberries couldn't survive another year. So they shared a Facebook post in 2013 saying it was closing for good and promising to come back as a catering service. A few years later, Shelley kept to her promise by continuing her catering business, which was a success until 2019 when she stopped making public posts about it. Alongside the catering business, she also introduced another side business of making custom rhinestone t-shirts named Absolutely Bling. Blackberry's downfall showed exactly how ego, denial, and chaos could destroy a business faster than any bad recipe. But while Blackberries suffered because of its arrogant owner, the next restaurant was the exact opposite. Old Neighborhood Restaurant was once a happy and busy place owned by Randy and Alexa, a married couple who fulfilled their dreams by buying the restaurant in 1988 after working there as servers. However, that beautiful dream turned into a nightmare when their sales dropped.
Business has been declining for probably about 13 years.
What else is coming back?
You have all the tickets that you're going to have, I believe.
And customers complained about strange food.
What are we all doing this evening?
I don't know what you put in this steak, but it's leaving a terrible aftertaste. It just doesn't look appetizing.
It's tempura, but why would you put horseradish with it?
Immediately after Gordon arrived, he was greeted by a strange mannequin named Fiona at the door. But that was only the tip of the iceberg, as the restaurant smelled so bad, with flies at different corners of the restaurant, and the food was bad.
Jeez. It is absolutely gross. Wow.
By the looks of everything unfolding, the refrigerator wasn't any better either. But to get things going, Gordon brought in new changes that led to a successful relaunch night.
It's perfect.
It really is. It's a lot of flavor. The tartar sauce is phenomenal.
It's like a completely new restaurant. It's incredible.
However, the success did not last forever, as the Yelp reviews stayed mixed, showing that the restaurant struggled to stay consistent after the cameras were gone. And since they couldn't keep up with the effects of the mixed reviews after the show, Old Neighborhood Restaurant officially closed after 36 years in May 2016. With this, the once thriving old neighborhood restaurant fell apart, leading to an eventual heartbreaking closure. Just like the next restaurant, whose end followed the same fate, even though they listened to Gordon's advice. McCool's was a small family restaurant located in West Hampton Beach, where it had a very terrible seasonal change that affected the business. This restaurant was owned by Buddy Mazzio, a retired police officer, and he ran it with his two sons, Jason, the bartender, and Brian, the head chef. Along with money problems,
we just don't have any money.
Buddy is in debt, somewhere in the hundreds of thousands.
They made bad meals that never tasted nice.
20? Second door on the left. Oh.
And on top of that, the chef had a bad attitude.
Every day you have to give it your best shot.
He has no idea what he's talking about, so whatever he has to tell me, I don't really care.
And the kitchen was dirty. But then, Chef Ramsay tried his best to elevate the restaurant by making different changes and a good relaunch that kept the restaurant busy again. And just like that, for a while after the show, online ratings were mostly positive and people liked their food, service, and the friendly atmosphere they pulled up. However, the restaurant's survival depended almost entirely on summer tourists, and when winter arrived with little to no foot traffic, Buddy was forced to sell the business in 2009, just 2 years after Gordon's visit. Although new owners kept it open for a few more years, McCool's closed for good in 2012. But then it didn't end there, as Brian never gave up cooking and is now a successful executive chef at the 1770 House Restaurant and Inn at the Hamptons, while Buddy passed away in 2023 at age 69. However, unlike McCool's restaurant, which couldn't make it because of unforeseen circumstances, the next restaurant was shut down for avoidable reasons. Casaroma was owned by Nyla and her son Jeremy, who bought a bar with a restaurant even though they had no real experience of running one.
I found Casaroma. I talked my oldest son into getting in with me, and had we had known the restaurant business very well, we probably wouldn't have done it.
To get things going smoothly, they employed head chef Eric, whose rude and arrogant attitude only made things worse for the restaurant.
Eric and I do not get along in the kitchen because he doesn't produce very well, and he expects me to do everything.
I need every of my pants right now.
When Gordon arrived, he could tell the restaurant was not doing well the moment he found dirt in the seat. The food took ages to arrive, and when it finally did, Chef Ramsay was very disappointed. He knew the restaurant needed some changes, and one of them was firing Eric.
Doesn't give a fuck about his cooking, doesn't give a fuck about you, and he's here for one thing and one thing only, money.
Well, I need to find another chef.
So Drew, what's wrong with Drew?
Drew, I think, can carry it off.
So get rid of him.
And making Drew the head chef.
I'm glad Eric's not in our kitchen anymore because maybe it'll give me an opportunity to step up and do something.
At first, the changes seemed to save Casaroma, because when Gordon came back, the business was doing well. Drew was gone, Jeremy had left, and Nyla became the sole owner.
I love my son to death. You know, I love all my kids, but we just couldn't work together.
You've had a clear out.
Which made her focus more on growing the business. But what felt like a hopeful move would soon become the core problem for the end of Casaroma. The restaurant changed names, the menu, and the staff kept shifting, and it slowly lost its new momentum. Eventually, it closed for good on July 1st, 2017 because of these management problems, and Nyla became a bookkeeper and a freelance writer at Vaughn's. Although Casaroma briefly improved after Gordon's intervention, unstable leadership and constant changes dragged it back into failure. Something that's second to the next restaurant's failure because of something far more destructive. Street Bistro was owned by Joe Nagy, who was one of the most arrogant and delusional owners Kitchen Nightmares has ever seen.
But I know that I have what it takes to do it.
Joe is in denial. This is not a fine dining restaurant.
Who do you think you're talking to? This is the finest of the finest.
Joe believed his restaurant was one of the best.
From New York to LA.
I would put this restaurant up against anyone.
And with this level of denial, this episode of Kitchen Nightmares was filled with constant drama between Joe and Ramsay.
I'm deeply sorry your feelings are hurt.
My feelings ain't hurt.
Oh.
You can't hurt my feelings.
You're ignoring my advice.
No, I'm not.
And you're going up against me.
No, I'm not
Yes, you
ignoring
are.
your advice.
Defensive, ignorant, and in complete
And guess
denial.
what? If I'm all that, you're my twin.
What? But the real drama began after Gordon left because nothing got better as a majority of the staff were fired and Joe had to be head chef again, even though Gordon warned multiple times that it was a bad idea. So to fix the restaurant's image a little bit, Joe changed the name from Mill Street Bistro to Maple City Tavern. But the new name change didn't help as they still got low ratings and bad reviews like, "This place is terrible. Prices are insane for the food being bad. Joe didn't keep Ramsay's touch and went back to his old ways. A name change won't change good food." Joe also sued Gordon Ramsay's production company for missing items and damage. And in January 2014, everything was settled for £900. But that small amount couldn't save the restaurant. Less than 2 years later, in 2015, the restaurant closed for good because of its endless struggles, and the building was sold, which ended the Mill Street Bistro story. However, that wasn't Joe's end for food-related business ventures. A Redditor made a post in January 2024, sharing that they allegedly met Nagy at the North Ridgeville City Fair in Ohio back in 2022, where he was selling scallops, elk burgers, and alligator meat from a food truck. Certainly, it was Joe's stubborn denial and constant chaos that dragged Mill Street Bistro into a complete collapse. But the next restaurant on our list experienced a totally different ending. Patrick Molloy's was a small family bar and restaurant in Hermosa Beach where the owners had a strange relationship.
In 1996, my ex-husband and I, along with my current husband, Fred, opened Patrick Molloy's.
His share went to his son, Patrick Molloy Bastian, but this didn't make things any better.
I stepped in my father's shoes in regards to his relationship with Fred, my mom, and Patrick Molloy. Running a restaurant with my stepdad and my mom puts a huge strain on our personal relationship.
So when Gordon arrived, he found the restaurant's problem.
Not good. Oh, frozen fish.
And his hidden cameras also showed just how bad the restaurant was.
Over the last few weeks, your restaurant has been under surveillance.
I'm not a swear like that. We need someone to stand there and say, I run this place. You gotta do that, and you don't do that.
Gordon worked hard to improve both the restaurant and the relationship between Patrick and Fred, which turned out positive, and things looked hopeful for the restaurant again.
Hey, Chef Ramsay, things are going great here at Patrick Molloy's.
Fortunately, Patrick Molloy's is still open and has a 4.2-star rating on TripAdvisor, but Fred sadly passed away in 2021. Although Fred passed away years later, Patrick Molloy survived its challenges through teamwork, renewed relationships, and Gordon's guidance, proving change is possible with unity. But unlike Patrick Molloy's, the next restaurant on this list was never given a chance to bloom. Fiesta Sunrise was a struggling Mexican restaurant, owned by family trio Vic, Yolanda, and Patty, who were in a huge debt by the time the restaurant appeared on the show.
What's the debt?
About 850.
850,000. And you've only been open for 18 months.
Right.
Aside from their money issues, Gordon discovered they had extremely poor food storage habits and a nasty cockroach-infested kitchen. To fix the restaurant and get them back on track again, Ramsay rearranged the restaurant's settings, gave them a new menu, and helped it reopen successfully. Sadly, before the episode could even air, the government seized the building for unpaid taxes, and the restaurant closed in September 2008. While Vic borrowed money to start up another restaurant business that failed woefully, Patty got involved with the Fiesta Mexico restaurant in Orangeburg. With debt, roaches, and poor management crushing them, Fiesta Sunrise collapsed long before Gordon's efforts could make a difference. However, it was different for Sebastian's, since its fate was sealed tight by the owner's unrealistic ego. This restaurant was owned by Sebastian de Modica, who was so full of himself and arrogant to the core.
I'm paying the bills.
People are scared of Sebastian.
This is ridiculous. I just don't deal with crap. I don't. Sebastian's all over the world. That makes me excited.
You haven't got fucking one right so far. How the f can you think about two?
Alongside his arrogance, Ramsay found a lot of problems, which included the unusual and unnecessarily complicated menu, which had tasteless food that looked like a dog's meal. Like always, Gordon simplified their menu to help the restaurant, and although Sebastian argued about it at first,
I don't see any uniqueness. I thought that there'd be more compromise with my menu. I didn't expect it to be just completely gone. I love that menu.
He later agreed.
It's not easy to accept, but I I guess before you grow, you gotta accept it. The fact I've got a 1 in a million opportunity here, I'd be a fool not to accept it.
But this only lasted for a short while, as after Gordon Ramsay left, the old menu came back, which got him very low ratings, and many bad reviews like, "The menu was more difficult than it needed to be." Since he couldn't manage the restaurant properly and due to family reasons, the restaurant closed for good in 2008. And after that, Sebastian started a landscaping/tree removal company and a business firm together with his wife McCool. Sebastian's downfall showed how ego and stubborn pride can ruin a restaurant, while the next case revealed the opposite problem. Chef Ramsay had to disguise himself to have a first-hand experience of Gianna's restaurant, and after that, he also showed everybody what his hidden cameras discovered on the wheel truck. And after calling them out on it, Ramsay helped them fix the restaurant and also had a successful relaunch, which boosted people's trust in them again.
I would say it's about 5 years since we've seen the restaurant packed like this, and I'm really proud of him.
It has the better days.
The restaurant maintained a solid 4.0 rating on Yelp, with many customers leaving positive reviews like, "When it comes to the food, it was also amazing." However, this didn't last long as the owners moved on, selling the restaurant for over $1 million in 2024. They closed down because of the previous years of struggles, especially during COVID, and the owner's father, Frank, wanted to retire. Gianna's success was rooted in regaining the people's trust, all thanks to them following Gordon's guidelines. But while Gianna's eventually had a positive ending, the next restaurant had one of Kitchen Nightmare's most dramatic endings. At first, everyone loved the Secret Garden restaurant. But as time went on, Michelle, the owner, encountered money problems that landed him in huge debt.
Michelle is having a tough time making ends meet. I can only imagine what his books must look like.
I have about $300,000 to $320,000 in debt. That's a lot of money to pay back.
From the restaurant's environment and decor, Gordon Ramsay knew he had a lot to work on the moment he entered the restaurant. And worst of it all was the bad-tasting meals they served him. So in a bid to fix the restaurant, Gordon had to tell Michelle the hard truth about his food, which Michelle saw as an insult and got defensive.
Tasteless, bizarre. Your food was long-winded, boring, and just, badly done.
That's a matter of opinion.
Oh my God.
Are
you that arrogant? A matter of opinion?
Not being that arrogant.
From that moment on, every little correction from Gordon ended with an intense argument, until Ramsay asked him this one question, which made him rethink the entire situation.
You need to make it smaller.
How much profit have you made in 1 year? You're hiding from me.
Michelle finally agreed to change.
I want your help, but, I want good help.
I'm here to help. The quicker you understand that, the better for all of us.
Seeing that Michelle has agreed, Ramsay taught them a simpler menu that would keep their customers rushing to the restaurant again. Immediately after the relaunch, it seemed like everything had improved. But months later, Michelle reverted to his old convoluted menu under the pretense that his customers complained about the new food, dragging Gordon's effort to change the restaurant to the mud. And because of this attitude, business dropped and he experienced losses again. At this point, selling off the restaurant in 2015 was Michelle's only option, as he reportedly went to own another eatery called The Cave. But before opening it, he got reviews like, "Glad they closed. Had my wedding there in 2014. He didn't listen to my wants, got orders wrong, and basically ripped us off $100, which showed that people were really upset with how Michelle treated people and handled the restaurant. From the look of things, it's obvious that Michelle's Secret Garden initially thrived, but collapsed under repeated poor choices and ignored advice, which left them with angry customers.